Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another budget free-to-play video. This time, Dragonmaids. So, obviously the best way is to start off with a structure deck. Dragonmaid to order. So the Dragonmaid specific cards are very useful. The out of archetype Dragonmaid's cards are not so. Besides the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. That's a little engine that's actually very useful. A bunch of these spell cards are useful. And Periodic Seal and the Dragonmaids are extremely useful. These two not so much, but if you're budget free to play, what choice do you have? So you may as well stick it in if you have no other choice. So we'll go through what's useful here, and actually, so starting off with the Power of the Dragon starter deck. I'm just trying to check to see if any of these I used, and I did not. Besides maybe, some of these fusions. So yeah, you actually don't even need this Power of the Dragon starter set. So yeah, let's just start off with the three structure decks, and let's move on to my actual free-to-play budget build. All right, so as I said, this is my free-to-play budget build. I have been upgrading certain cards here and there over time. It's been about 2 months now, 8 weeks that I've on this game. So I've accumulated some gems, so I will give you alternates to some of the URs that I have. So as you can see, most of these URs are from the structure deck itself, and others I've crafted, and others I've gotten from the bundles, the Impermanence, the Forbidden Droplet, Solemn Judgment. It's just great investments. The Ash Blossom. So, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna say if you have them, obviously put them in. But if you don't, there's always alternates, especially from the structure deck itself. But I'll give you budget options. So let's start with the cards. So DD Crow I crafted. This is just great. I specifically use this against DPE, but with branded now, this is probably just as useful against graveyard effect monsters. But this could also work on spell cards, so it's cool. So Black Metal Dragon. So this is from the structure deck. So you pair this with Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. So what happens is, if you summon this Black Metal Dragon, you could target a Red Eyes you control, but that's not really that useful. The useful effect is the second one. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you could add a Red Eyes from your deck to your hand. And this specific card is pretty cool because you could basically special summon by banishing a dragon monster you control. During your main phase, you could special summon a monster, a dragon, from your hand or grave. So you could special summon this card, and in addition, you could special summon another dragon from your hand or grave. So it's really nice. It's a really nice engine. I'd only really run 1 or 2 Black Metal Dragons because you really want to see your Dragonmaids. They're the real source of your deck's power. But this is nice as an alternate to stick into the deck. Now getting onto the Dragonmaids. So we have Nurse, Laundry, Kitchen, Parlor, and Chamber. So they each have kind of deck searching effects and graveyard effects. So let's start off with Nurse, which I only run one of. So if this card is normal or special, you can target a level 4 Dragonmaid, or level 4 or lower in your graveyard, except this one, special summon it. At the start of the battle phase, you can return this. So they have a lot of effects where they return the Dragonmaid base cards to the hand, and that usually helps with special summoning the level 7 or 8. The Dragonmaid forms, so the dragon forms. So we'll get to that into the replays. But basically, you return this card to the hand, and if you do, you special summon a level 7 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. So that's really, you can't special summon from the deck, but from the hand or graveyard with the Nurse. So I only run one of those. You could run 2, if you didn't have other cards to fit in here. But I think 1 is useful enough to search her when you need it. Laundry, it's kind of a niche kind of use, because it basically sends the top 3 cards to the grave. At the start of the battle phase, you could return this to the hand and special summon a level 7 from your hand or grave. So the milling effect is not as useful either. Just like Nurse can revive a level 4 or lower from your grave and special summon. Laundry can mill 3 cards. So you want to make sure you have a lot of Dragonmaid cards or spell cards in your deck, so you can make use of this. But it's not the best effect. But it's always nice to have another option, right? At least to me. So Ash Blossom, most people run 3. I could only afford 1. Moving on, Kitchen. So if this card is normal special, you can add 1 Dragonmaid monster from your deck to your hand. So this specifically searches your deck to your hand. Then send 1 Dragonmaid from your hand to the grave. But you need Dragonmaid to send to the grave, or you could just send the one that you had the one that you searched to the grave. You could return this to the hand. If you do, special summon a level 8 Dragonmaid. So this kind of works well with Dragonmaid tidying, because if you send this to the grave, I mean, we'll get to this at the end. You can banish this and special summon from your hand or grave. But we'll get to that. So then we have, and I run 3 of these because you could search. It's a nice search function. The Parlor, normal or special summon. You could send a Dragonmaid card from your deck to the grave. At the start, you return this to the hand and you special summon a level 8. So this has a similar effect to Kitchen, except you just bring it straight from the deck to the grave. So there's a few options. We can get into it. Chamber, you can add a Dragonmaid spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is probably the most powerful effect because of Dragonmaid Hospitality or Changeover, which you could use to special summon a monster or fuse a monster. So this is probably the best play. Second best is between Parlor and Kitchen. And these are kind of just specific cases because you would need either a Dragonmaid in the grave or enough Dragonmaid cards in your deck to, get something to special summon. Luckily if you bring one of these level 7s down, right? You can ignore the Astrograph Sorcerer. I just love his animation. I plug him in. He has a nice effect. I crafted him for my pendulum decks. I just kind of threw him in here. Totally not required. You could sub him in for another level 7 or level 8 or even a kaiju. I could probably use another kaiju in here. But I just like his effect. I will probably sub up. You know what? Let's just do it right now. There you go. So, got raiding kaiju, Godarla kaiju, always useful. So, if you're unsure of what to squeeze into the Dragonmaids deck, squeeze in a couple of kaijus. They were always helpful to remove opponents' troublesome monsters. So we got Dragonmaid Ernest, Nudairo, got my kaiju, level 8 Tinkek, level 8 Lopar, and the red eyes that I talked about. So these level 7s, the effects aren't super important because you're basically just using them to special summon from the grave. But they do have some effects, you know, if you're really stuck. It says a quick effect, you can discard this and special summon a level 4 from your hand. So this one has a discard, then target a monster in either grave, shuffle into the deck. This has discard and target a Dragonmaid, it gains 2000 attack. And this says you can target a face-up monster, it cannot activate effects. So they have like niche effects, but they're not really that important. I mean, you know, maybe you could run an extra one of these that you like the effect of. You know, none of them are really strong. Maybe, you know, nullify an effect with Dragonmaid or 4. But you typically just want one of each, so you can utilize the special summoning effects of the level 4 and lower Dragonmaids. So those are the main monsters. These I got from solo mode, these URs. Dragon Mirror, so this is just another fusion smell. So I had 3 copies of these, and I don't really recommend running 3 copies because changeover is pretty strong in itself. So I run 2 copies of changeover. This lets you fusion using monsters from the hand or field. And if this is in the grave, you could add it back to your hand as long as you have a Dragonmaid on the field. So, you know, maybe you run 3 changeovers and get rid of the Dragon's Mirror. But I like the options. You know, like maybe you just want to use fusion materials in your grave. So this gives you that option. Return on the Dragonlords is just a nice tech spell. Wouldn't really run too many of these, but it can help. But it could also brick, you know, if you get this at the start of the game. This is your best spell. Special summon a Dragonmaid from your hand or grave. Then you could send a Dragonmaid with the same attribute but a different level. You know, basically, you know, if you have a lower level, the counterpart, you know, the higher level one, from the deck to the grave. So then what happens is you could use, you know, either their on-field effect or their graveyard effect to special summon. So most likely you just use their on-field effect to special summon the higher level one. So that's how you would use the hospitality effect to full effect. So you would special summon a lower level one to the field, you would bring one of the higher level ones to the grave, and then you could special summon. But just make sure that they match. So if you, for example, have a kitchen Dragonmaid, make sure you bring a level 8 to the grave. And then if you have a laundry, for example, in your hand that gets some special summon to the field, make sure you bring an Ernest or a Nudairo to the grave. So that's that's basically the tech of Hospitality. You know, the best card you have. Changeover we just talked about. Lightning Storm I crafted. You know, you could substitute this for a Mystical Space Typhoon or Book of Moon. You know, it just helps to break down boards. Dragonmaid Welcome. Well, this has like particular effects, not exactly the best, but basically all monsters you control gain attack and defense. For each Dragonmaid, if you control 2 or more, you could target a Dragonmaid in your grave, add it to your hand. So it's any card. So that's nice. But you need to control 2 Dragonmaids, so it's not always going to happen. It's a continuous spell, so it's nice to just plop on the field. If you hard draw it, I don't really know if you'd actually search this. Maybe if you're, you know, doing well and you want some extra, you know, staying power, you throw this on. Super Poly, again, I said I crafted a bunch of spells to help me in the game, and this is one of them. This could be easily substituted with any other, you know, like I said, Book of Moon, Mystical Space Typhoon, like anything that could help you advance, you know, your game. I run them with Mud Dragon and Starving Venom. Just to give me another option, but I could probably sub this out, but you know, I do fusions in this deck, so I think it works. Forbidden Droplet from the bundle, Permanence from the bundle, Tidying. So this is another strong card. This is a trap. So basically, if you're playing this on field, you can target a dragon monster you control and one your opponent controls, or in their grave, return them to their hand. So the grave to the hand seems kind of strange, but obviously you target a card that they control and bounce it back. So it's a nice bouncing effect. You could also use this to, well, this is in the grave, so you could use, you know, one of these parlor or kitchens effects to put a spell in the grave effect to banish this card, and then special summon a Dragonmaid from your hand or grave also. So that's nice. Solemn Judgment and Solemn Warning, it's just, you know, I got this from a pack and I got this from a bundle. You could replace this with any trap cards. Something I learned was that Solemn Scolding is a nice cheap option. If you don't want to craft Solemn Warning, this is a nice cheap option because this hits spells, traps, or monster effects for 3,000 life points. Interestingly, Solemn Judgment only hits spells or summons. Oh, actually, yeah. This doesn't hit summons, so there's the one downside to this. Solemn Warning does summons, spells, or effects for 2,000. You also have Solemn Strike, which is really powerful. Solemn Wishes, I never used, but yeah, we're getting off track here. So yeah, there's some trap options as alternates to these two, but you could also just run, like, you know, bottomless traps, you know, mirrors, mirror shields, you know, mirror forces, whatever you think will help you. So for the extra deck, as I said, the Mud Dragon and Starving Venom, just to help with Super Poly, just a nice tech option. Odd Eyes, if I ever end up with 2 level 7s on the field, it's just nice tech with Odd Eyes Absolute. House Dragonmaid and Dragonmaid Shio are the ones you're going to go into pretty much every chance you get with Dragonmaid Changeover. Hieratic Seal helps you with like a negate. So quick effect, you can tribute one monster from your hand or field, return one face-up card on the field to the hand. So this is a bounce effect. So it's, you know, non-destruction removal, which is super strong. In, you know, our meta these days. I have Pisty here. I could probably replace this with another Heretic Seal, and honestly I will, because I never have a use for Pisty, really. Like, you know, if I have one dragon on the field, like, I'm just gonna use their particular effects. I'm not gonna, you know, link one. Either I go link 2 into Hieratic Seal, or I fuse into one of these. Those are the main plays. This is here just for fun. I never use it, but, you know, maybe if I want another house, I could just replace this. But, you know, I have the card, so, and I can't dismantle it. So, Appaloosa I crafted. You know, if I ever end up with enough materials to craft, and I need additional negates, that's what I will go into. And if I have enough materials and I want to end the game, I go into Access Code Talker. I highly recommend crafting both just in general for your decks. So that's basically the deck. Let's get into some replays. Alright, starting with the replays. Like I mentioned before, this is not top tier gameplay, silver or gold, but it'll show you the basic, you know, functions of the deck, right? So we're going against Ancient Warriors, not top tier by any means, but we have a decent hand. Solemn Warning, Chamber. Chamber, I bring in Changeover, which is probably our best card. He negates. But I had another play, which is Hospitality. So that's like the cool part about this deck. Like, there's options, you know? Like, that was one negation effect, and we were able to play through that. You know, some rogue decks like don't have this kind of capability, but Dragonmaids can play through at least one negate, sometimes two, depending on how your hand plays out. But the consistency of this deck is really nice. That's like probably the strongest feature of this deck. It's very consistent. You always have a chance, basically. So I banished my Tidying, and I brought Orpra on the field, and I was able to bring back Changeover and use it again. Like, you should, like, his negate didn't even matter. But I was still able to bring out Dragonmaid Shield. That's just like the strength of this deck, man. So he negates my attack. But I'm still able to bring out House. And still attack with 2 Look at that. So, just, you know, like, you need a lot to interrupt Dragonmaids. You need a lot. Basically, you need to be meta. Like, this Ancient Warriors, I'm sorry, it's not that meta of a deck. I don't know if it's rogue, but Dragonmaids, in my feeble knowledge of Yugioh, I would consider this to be a rogue, you know, deck. Like, this can compete, you know, given a good hand. So you need more than this to compete with Dragonmaids. This is going to be over, so. Yeah, he gave up. But that just shows the consistency of this deck. Alright, on to the next replay. See if there's some more tech options in here. So, as I said, not the greatest opponents. I guess he bricked his hand, because I'm not sure what this is. But we have a decent hand. We got Black Metal Dragon, Chamber, a level 7, Kaiju, and Harpies. So let's go. And I get Hospitality. So just normally, I mean, I didn't have too many other options. Actually, no. So to bait out a negate, you know, you don't want to use your normal summon first. So this is actually a mistake by me. I should have used the hospitality first, bait out a possible negate, and then played my normal summon. Because otherwise, you know, if you use your normal summon first, I feel like you're screwed with more options than using a spell first. You know, obviously, you know, if this got negated, you could still run the spell, but sometimes, you know, sometimes you get screwed over if you lose your normal summon, right? So, just something to think about. Take out his back row. Change over. Probably the strongest spell. Besides hospitality. Bring out Big Yugioh. Then I run hospitality. Bring back Udaro, and I dump another Hello. And this guy has to recover hard to take out my two guys. So he runs Monster Reborn. I negate it. None of that. So bring out house. And he quits. So, yeah, that was just one negate, but the strength of this deck is pretty consistent.